What's up, everybody? It's your favorite noble leader's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Toyworld Optimus Prime from the Bumblebee film. This was given to me as a gift by James H. Shout out to that dude. Like, he certainly didn't have to. I certainly haven't earned it, especially from him. This isn't the first thing that he's let me take a look at, so to speak. If you remember, then you remember. I don't want to bring it up. That being said, there is a ton to talk about with this guy, so I don't want to dilly-dally too much. Plus, I think the transformation is going to be a pain in my balls. But that's okay. If ever I struggle, you're just going to see me walking through it, literally. You'll see what I mean. Anyway, let's get started, but in order to do so, accessories. So you get these two cases. I thought they were display base at first because you had to assemble them and it was just plates. But no, they're kind of little containers, I'm guessing, to hold all the accessories and stuff. You have to assemble them. They're pretty easy to assemble. They can only go together really one way, and it's just a matter of figuring that out. It's a nice sculpt and a dry brush of silver throughout, and it looks really good and really sharp. Super well done, very well sculpted, very well painted. He comes with 6, and I'm missing one apparently, but alternate tires. They are, I'm guessing, for Cybertronian mode, which is like a gimmicky thing that he does. They're rubber, and it looks like they're like dry brush with a brown, and they don't have any tread on them, whereas the other ones have tread, and it's kind of just, you know, personal preference aesthetically what you would prefer. Also comes with like 6 hubcaps, and if you want to go Cybertronian mode, sculpted well enough with the red paint that I'm guessing is tampoed on there. You get these 2 pieces, which if you want him to look the Cybertronian, also you can use deco the same way, which we'll kind of talk about when we get to them, but they take the place of the smokestacks. So you just take this, unpeg it, take this, peg it in. You know, if you'd prefer that look. Up to you, your world. You get these, which are forearm swap out pieces, and they're right there on the tension tabs, and it has this blue accent instead of a silver one. Take that off. Yeah, anyway, put this on there, and then close that up. And then you get 2 different front shoulder options. One is G1, so to speak, Earth, I guess, and one is Cybertron. I think that's how they're rolling there. And once again, it's just up to you aesthetically what you would prefer. They just tab on to the shoulder with using these. Nothing to it. And there he is in Cybertronian get up. And, you know, I'm not sure if the juice is worth the squeeze on this one. You know, I'm just not sure that it's different enough. Maybe the shoulder bits, but like this little blue detail here versus the silver or what have you. I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it on that one. And then there it is with the more Earth mode aesthetics. So totally your call. Now he comes with this. And this is complicated. So it's a shield at its base. These 2 pieces come stuck together, and you can use this to tab on to the forearm. And that would be right where, you know, your forearm piece tabbed in. Now, you can split these apart, and you can take those off too if you desire, but I mean, a little tight on this one. Okay, so you can have these axes, and then you can have this orange energy on it, or you can remove that. This is just an orange translucent piece. I think it looks better without, to be fair. And we have the same kind of detailings that were on the crate. Also, forgive my fingers. I've been working on a diorama. We've also been painting the kitchen. So yeah, and it's you know, dry brush silver and sculpted well, and it's the same for this one. And then I guess these 2 can technically still plug together if you want to do something with that. But yeah, options for your axes. And he'll hold them, but once again, they don't hold real well. And the ball pegs are so loose on the hands that it has a hard time kind of getting it properly in the pose. That is in the articulated hands. And we'll move into the gun. So he comes with this one, which I think is one of the most interesting, because whatever the ammunition or maybe it's battery, who knows? It's a space gun. And this is decoed, all these are decoed the same way, which is to say sculpted well and dry brush silver, the same as they did with the crates, the same as they did with the axes, but it is super effective, so it's a good choice to do so. It also has these side tabs here, which can peg into the hip flaps. We'll show that as well. And he will hold that in his normal articulated hand. However, it is kind of a bear to get it plugged in properly. So, hip flap, side tab, plug in, holstered. He comes with a pistol, and decoed the same way, painted the same way, sculpted the same way. Nice to say across the board. It'll peg into his hand, but once again, the ball peg messes it up and it doesn't hold well, but it'll peg onto the hip just fine. He comes with a long blaster, the more kind of signature Prime weapon, I suppose. Once again, sculpted beautifully. Once again, painted beautifully. He doesn't hold it very well. It comes out of the peg, and it also, the weight pulls against the ball peg of the hand, as you can see. But that too can peg onto the hip facing down, or it can peg onto the hip facing forward, kind of. Then he has the long weapon, so to speak. And yeah, it's sculpted nicely. It's painted beautifully per usual. It's what we've kind of come to expect. It does have the bipod down here that you can set up, so that's cool. You know, no issues. Other than it's pretty obnoxious to get him to hold this in any kind of meaningful way. And then the weight of it is definitely going to pull on the ball pegs, which are already a bit weak. Now, we've saved these for afterwards because they are the trigger finger hands, right? And we are not crazy about the way that he's holding his weapon, so we're going to see if this is any better. They are sculpted the same, and they're a softer plastic, so they're a little bit malleable to get the weapons in and out of, which is nice. The problem is that the hands don't kind of firmly grip the weapon in any sort of real, meaningful way. So, I mean, they're probably better ultimately than the articulated hands, but I'm not even sure. It also comes with a head for the 3.0 or 3A Prime, and I think this lights up as well. It also has this little stand here, and you can just remove the stand, swap out the heads, I believe. The sculpt is pretty much identical to the one that you get with the figure, so we're not going to waste too much time on it, and I thought it had a light up gimmick on here, but I'm having a hard time finding it for sure. So I'm pretty sure it does, though. Just a matter of where. The other one's on the face, which we're getting ready to transition into. But I think this one lights up. Gimmick-wise, though, this one does for sure. You just push the kind of front face plate in the back of the head, and it starts it, and it works pretty well. These two weapons also have it. Let's see where this one is. There it is. There you go. There's a whole bunch of different things you can do. You hold it, press it twice, press it 3 times, and if it fails on you, you just charge it, which is nice. Very thoughtful to do that, because one of the reasons why I don't like messing with batteries is like it's going to take another time to charge it. Did that one light up? Yeah. And you can get it to stay on if you hold it, I think. So, world is your oyster. Alright, so let's look at the figure. One of the problems that I had with it, because of the mouthpiece, you're supposed to like push it back to light up the eyes. I often find that it ends up kind of sliding too far from his face, and you gotta kind of like push it back in line. It's a small nitpick, but it is something that I've noticed. The ears do articulate. They swivel, which is nice. I always kind of dig when you can give it a little bit more of an expression. All of the detailings there in the faceplate, it also has the same kind of weathering on the metal there that the whole kind of piece has. The blue as well has the weathering on it. There's not really an ounce of this guy that isn't painted. So the head is on a ball peg. You can get up to there, down, and the swivel. No real confused dog look or anything like that. Not that you would need it with a character like Prime. All right, so there's like, I think it's really just that transformation components, but it's almost like it lends itself to a an ab crunch of a little bit. But I'll tell you, like, I don't care for it because like this upper chest, like it just has a tendency to want to come undone. And as a result, it just doesn't feel solid, and it doesn't feel like you're really using a piece of articulation as much as it does make feel like that you're having stuff come unpegged and undone, which is what I ultimately think is going on. Now, tons of weathering. There's washes across all the nuts and bolts here to give some shadows. There's weathering and scratch marks done on the red there. Black translucent plastic here. And those details kind of continue. There's also a waist swivel Ugh, I don't like the way they did that. And all of the silver bits there are washed in the red bits as well. For the shoulder, we have a hinge inside that swings out, a secondary hinge that allows a little bit of a butterfly, which is nice, and then I guess it's a tertiary hinge that allows for the upward arm movement, which gets you a little shy of 90 degrees. And where it plugs into the shoulder, you get your swivel all the way around, so no issues. And then the silver paint job here has a little bit of that. There's a name for it. A buddy of mine used to love to talk about it. I think it made him feel fancy. But like, there's a patine, something like that. It's a little effect you can do on the metals. Looks good. And then we have some washes here on the white. Same here and on the red. So no issues. We have a bicep swivel. This feels like die cast to me. Double hinged elbow that gets you pretty much the full run. All of the silvers have washes on them. Look at all the detailing, sculpted details and such, plus the little yellow Tampo paint there. Washes all on the red panels as well. Washes on these red panels and silver. No issues. As we've already talked about, the hands on a ball peg, they're not really effective, but you do get a swing in, so to speak, and then around. Thumb is on a baseball peg with a secondary and primary hinge afterward. All of the fingers are individually articulated on a primary hinge, secondary, and tertiary. So fully articulated. Same for the other side. Now, moving on to the hips, we have the flaps. They can get up and out of the way. So that we can look at our universals for the full Van Damme and the full Monty. Thigh swivel around the universal, a little tight, but rather too tight than too loose, so to speak. All of the washes around here for the weathering, like they're pooled in perfect areas. They look really good. Some gold details as well. Double jointed knee for a great range. And if you look at the way they did the bits, you know, so there's no hollow bits in the knee, like everything is accounted for. Like this die cast piece here, and then this blue piece, which will hide up underneath, which is nice. And then the piece down here that'll hide up underneath. Once again, the canisters on the side all have that same wash effect on them, all tons and tons of sculpted detail. Same for the lower legs. Now for the feet, we have an ankle rocker that's really well done. Not really an ankle tilt up, a little bit of an ankle tilt down. You do get a toe tilt down and a toe tilt up with die cast pieces on the bottom. Once again, that upper body coming apart here. And let me show you this fella from the back. You know, clean as a whistle, no doubt about it. I mean, there's a lot of beautiful sculpt work, a lot of beautiful paint work, and really good materials being used throughout this piece. Size comparison wise, there he is next to the Magic Square Prime. And I'll put him in a DTOF so you can see he's probably perfect size for a DTOF, which you know is rare for me to say regarding Transformers. So there you go. Occupies the space pretty well, honestly. I'll put it next to a Hot Toys just so you can see. Just about on par. I mean, if you lift him up where he would be on the stand, you know, same size. So about the size of a 1/6 figure, which is nice. Let's get him transformed. So on the first elbow joint, bend it up to 90 degrees. You got to open up this panel here. You can do this one on the back, fold that around to the bottom. But the real one that you got to grab is this one here. And we're just going to take the hand off for a second to get this one out. There. Then, we're off to a great start. Then you want to kind of have that sit up against the hand, and then you can fold the hand in. And just finagle it until you get it in there. Same for the other side. Once again, we're just going to take off that hand so that we can get that flap out. We'll plug the hand back in. Take this panel down around to the bottom. Rotate all of that jazz in, and then make sure that we're still at that 90-degree turn. All right, bring the butt flap down. bring these wings out here and these pieces up here. And then you're gonna wanna do what we were talking about for the reverse ab crunch so that it's sitting almost at a 90-degree angle, like that's gonna be the truck, right? So that's what you want. These pieces we gotta get right. Out, down, out, down. And then we want this red piece up and the silver piece down. So out, down, up, down, so to speak. Left, right, A, B, A, B. Select start. All right, same on this side. Red piece up, silver piece down. This silver piece has a tendency to bump up against this under silver piece there. Just make it happen, Captain. We're gonna do our last piece of prep work before we try to make something happen. So open up your chest pieces here. Bring that red piece down. Just wanna make sure it's on the other side of this silver piece. And then there's two flaps here underneath that you wanna pull out and straighten. Now, a moment of truth. Well, one of the moments of truth. You got to swing this plate around the best you can. Come on, girl. Yikes. And down. And then from this point, you just want to get the red in front of the white here, but your silver behind the silver. So that white, we want to get the red in front of, and then that silver, we want to get this silver in front of. And that's pretty much what you're looking for. Now we gotta take these sections. You wanna flip this whole piece up. Doesn't feel good to do so, by the way. And this piece came off. But you wanna slide that down. Keep this up. And I had to go to TM reviews to find out, because the online manual doesn't have it. But there's a bar here that has to rock forward. It's right there. And in robot mode, it sits down against this, but in truck mode, it needs to hinge forward in order to kind of collapse fully. And I'm still not even 100% sure that I have it quite where it needs to be, but we'll sort it out. And now we gotta get the arms, which is maybe one of the worst parts. But just, dude. Oh my God. There's like just pieces, like, I don't even know what. No clue. No clue what that goes to. We'll just set that to the side. All right, so get this arm in there. And then we gotta fold around these pieces. I'm sorry, these pieces back here, they go inside there. And then the shoulder comes around to the back. And that's not quite right, but it's the general movement. So let's try that again. Come on. Okay. Open these up too. I must have messed that up. And then flip these out. Yeah, that's better. Cool. Now, you got to get all of this sorted. So bring this down. And I'm just gonna, look, this is, the pen is truly mightier than the sword, but it was falling out. So then you're gonna bring these pieces down, and this piece comes down, and then you want to open up everything that you can here. It's all a hodgepodge of stuff. Let's see what we got. There's one. Where does this go? Here. There. Huh? All right. And then there's this bottom piece. And this bottom piece flips up, and then all of this kind of comes together. You can see. Okay, so he broke his at a couple pieces, and he did tell me that. This piece spins around. And all of that's going to start to come together. And I'm going to clean this up off camera, but then this flap, like that, right? So get all of that tabbed in nicely. I'm not gonna waste your time doing it here. It's gonna be a disaster. All right, I got it. I think I'll be a little bit smoother this time. So once again, this pin is dropping out. So you want to bring this piece down, but first, this little silver piece here, flip that to the inside and flip this piece down, and then I don't know if this is supposed to come off for transformation, but I'm taking it off. And flip this piece down. Then you've got your side piece here. This piece comes around. This piece comes around. And this piece comes up, and this tab here goes into there, and that's the part that was broken on the other side prior to me getting it. So I'm gonna mess with all this. This has to, that has to be up. So there's that. That comes down. Good night, dude. And around. Flip the toe back. Flip the foot 180. You gotta just undo everything that will undo. So there's this piece here. Bring that up. Tuck that in. Open this piece up. Take your wheels out. Flip them. And then on this side, this will flip down, and I think this flips down. If you move this out a bit, this will flip down inside, and it'll sit kind of in that pocket there, like that. Same for this side, toe up, foot around, inside flap doubles up onto itself. This piece comes out, your wheels pull out, spin them 180, move them back in, maneuver this piece down so that you can maneuver the one flap in, pull this tab out and then connect the legs together. Take your hip skirt, make sure that it pegs into the sides of the thigh. Then this piece flips out. Flip the drum up and around and plug it back in. Same on the other side. And remember, if you're having problems with your hip skirts, remember they kind of, they double hinge. So just find the appropriate spot for them. And then we're gonna flip this out, flip this over, and then tab it back in. And then the last step is just to pull that down and sit it there. Good grief. Does that open up? No. I'll clean them up, we'll take a look at them. So that is a ton of work, and it's not even all that impressive. This seems largely unfinished. This, I mean, I'm guessing you can probably get some of this stuff a little tighter, but yeah, it's just not that great looking. So, yeah, kind of, I don't know. Transform this at your own risk. I don't know if it's worth it. I got, these are the pieces that didn't make it through the process of mine. This looks broken. Like it looks, well, it's not broken, but like it came either unglued or unpegged. And then I mean, we took these off on purpose, and then this one fell off and didn't make it back on. There it is with Tiger Tracks. There it is with X-Transbot's Motormaster. And there it is with MP10. I mean, once again, I mean, the paint and stuff, all the deco, the washes and all that, that comes through and looks nice. You know, the blue paint here and such, and like all of the details really do come through. It's just not that impressive for the amount of work that it takes to get to this. I mean, a lot of this looks kind of unfinished to me. You know, the back obviously looks a little, it leaves a little bit to be desired. So yeah, I don't know, man. Meh. Final thoughts wise, let's start with the negatives. My big issues here is obviously the transformation. It's a pain in the balls, and it doesn't really pay out to anything that's really that rewarding. There's a lot of Optimus Primes that do a lot better transformations getting to and from robot mode to truck mode. MP10, MP44, Generation Toy IDW Prime, Magic Square, Transform Element, just to name a few. The wrist ball pegs are too loose, and as a result, he has a hard time holding his weapons in any kind of real meaningful manner. He also doesn't hold his weapons all that well to begin with. There's also some kind of joint tolerance issues that create for frustrating experiences. So some joints are a little too loose, some joints are a little too stiff, plus the fact that he doesn't hold his guns as you're going to like move him around. Pieces fall off, guns pop out, and pieces falling off is actually, I mean, that's a fair problem to begin with across the board. And lastly, the mouthpiece has a tendency to kind of sit loose forward. Positives though, he comes with a ton of accessories and they're all beautiful and include gimmicks that are all cool. The materials feel great. The plastic feels great. There's tons of die cast. It's really well built in that regard. Tons of sculpted detail, tons of paint. Here's the interesting thing about this. I can recommend it if you need psychologically a Bumblebee Optimus Prime to transform. I don't know why you would choose this over the 3.0 or 3A version, but this thing is just as good as that in robot mode. And it transforms. It's just the transformation sucks, and getting it to truck mode and back, you may not find that you have the exact same toy when you get back to robot mode as what you started with. Check the floor for pieces sitting all over it. Yeah, I don't know why you would get this over the 3A unless you needed it to transform but never intended to transform it. Does that make sense? But if that's what you want, this will do nicely. But if you just want the robot mode, probably better to go with the non-transforming one. That being said, I'll value this in my collection because it was a gift and I would never get this type of Prime for my collection, although I do kind of like the way it looks. So I plan on putting this upstairs in a detail on my main floor, not even in my basement. So I hope that helps. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.